The metaphor is very simple. John Smith lives at home. He's not married and he has no children, so he is at peace and happy. So, but he goes to his theatre in the evening and he puts on the character of King Lear, which just consists of an overcoat and a set of thoughts and feelings. And so fully does he play the part of King Lear that he forgets that he is John Smith and he seems to become King Lear. So he now feels, I am King Lear. Now, so fully does he lose himself in the part of King Lear that when the play ends, he forgets to return. When his friend comes to congratulate him backstage after the performance, he's surprised to find him miserable. So he says, that was fabulous, why are you miserable? And then King Lear starts relating his problems with his daughters and the French and the Kingdom of England. And his friend says to him, don't be silly. You're not miserable because of your relationship with your daughters or the war with French or British politics. You're miserable because you've just forgotten who you are. Who are you? King Lear then says, well, I'm the King of England, I'm the father of 3 daughters. And his friend says, no, don't be silly. You have not always been the King of England. You have not always been the King of England. You have not always been a father. So what are you essentially? These are roles that have been added to you. They are not essential to you. What are you before being a king, being a husband, being a father? So then King Lear thinks for a while, and then he starts describing his thoughts. And his friend says to him, no, your thoughts are not always with you. You haven't always had thoughts. They are always leaving you. What are you prior to your thoughts? So then King Lear goes deeper into himself and he starts describing his feelings. And his friend says, no, but even your feelings, they are very intimate, but they are still not essential to you. They are always leaving, appearing, leaving. So what you essentially are isn't even your feelings. And in this way, King Lear is going deep, tracing his way back through layers of his experience, trying to find something that is essential to him. And then at one point there is this recognition, I am John Smith. And at that moment, his suffering comes to an end, because his suffering was caused by the belief that he was King Lear. All his problems were King Lear's problems. So as soon as he has the recognition, I am John Smith, his problems, his suffering comes to an end. In other words, his innate peace and happiness is restored. His innate peace and happiness was there all the time, because behind King Lear, John Smith was always standing, not even behind King Lear, but at the very heart of King Lear was John Smith. In fact, King Lear is just a covering, a clothing of John Smith. Well, John Smith is awareness, that element of ourself that cannot be removed from us. When we've taken away our relationships, our activities, our thoughts, our feelings, what remains is the experience, I am. The equivalent of I am John Smith in the story. That I am, before it is qualified, the knowledge I am, before it is qualified by thoughts, feelings, activities and relationships, is our essential, irreducible self. And it has nothing to do with the life of the character. The fact that we might be a father, a mother, a child, a doctor, a bus driver. It has nothing to do with the content of our thoughts or feelings or any of that. Just as the knowledge John Smith has nothing to do with what takes place in King Lear's life. So that is why in this approach, one of the pathways we take, one of the most potent pathways we take, is just to take the thought I, or the thought I am, and allow ourselves to be drawn to the experience to which the thought I am refers, before what I am is qualified by experience. The knowledge I am is our essential being's knowledge of itself, and it has no qualities. and therefore it is at peace. Its nature is peace. And the recognition of the nature of ourself, or ourself's recognition of itself, the simple recognition of the nature of our being is what is called enlightenment. It's not, there's nothing extraordinary. It's a recognition. It's not a new knowledge, because John Smith doesn't have the knowledge, I am John Smith, for the first time. He always knew himself as John Smith. So he just temporarily forgot that he is John Smith, and then he came to know again, or to recognize, I am John Smith. So it's always a recognition. It's that's what, or a revelation. Revelation, from the Latin revelare, meaning to lay bare. It is a laying bare of what we essentially are, rather than becoming something new or acquiring some new knowledge. In enlightenment, there is no acquisition of new knowledge or extraordinary knowledge.
I understand, but yeah. The recognition is caused by the removal of the ignorance.
It is revealed, because the knowledge, I am John Smith, has no cause, because it is John Smith's primary knowledge. There is no knowledge that in John Smith that precedes the knowledge, I am John Smith. The first thing John Smith knows is, I am John Smith. So there's nothing behind or prior to the knowledge, I am John Smith, that causes it. However, if John Smith has lost himself in the character of King Lear, and this is called ignorance. Why? Because King Lear ignores his true nature. It is the removal of that ignorance that allows the ever-present person of John Smith to shine. The removal of ignorance doesn't cause John Smith or his peace. The removal of ignorance just is the removal of everything that seems to veil John Smith's knowledge of himself. In the Sanskrit language, they don't refer to ignorance, they refer to the illusion of ignorance, because there is no real ignorance. As you rightly say, John Smith never really becomes King Lear. You're right, ultimately there is no real ignorance.